Okay, welcome to this lower back, pelvis, and core reconditioning series. This is great for helping to balance the muscles around the sacrum, especially if you have SI discomfort. Really wonderful for strengthening and balancing the muscles of the inner thighs and outer hips, as well as the abdomen and the back muscles, and how everything works together to organize the pelvis above the legs evenly so that we have proper balance and tone to the muscles of the low back, core, hips, and upper legs. For this series, we will use the magic circle, a ball for the inner thighs, TheraBand loops, a lighter version, so extra light to light is usually best, especially when we're trying to target the smaller muscles that live around the sacrum and to avoid overtensing the groin and like glute med and min muscles. And then you'll also want either a smaller ball for the side, neck, and sideline, or a pillow or cushion. Okay, to begin, lying down on the back with props close by, lengthening out the spine and really aligning the body for good positioning. So lying down on the back, we'll make sure that we're even on the mat, that our hips and spine are as aligned as possible. Taking a moment to take a few breaths, organize the shoulders, wiggling out any tension, take a couple deep breaths. It's nice to do a big expand breath and a nice deep relaxing breath. And then do that a couple times with a focus more on contracting the abdominals on the exhale. Big inhale breath to prepare. Deep exhale to hug the abdominals in. Big inhale breath again. And a deep exhale breath to pull in. Then let's begin with the magic circle around the knees. Legs go through, circle goes up around the outer thighs, closer to the knees, and then just begin to feel your feet are about as wide as the knees are, as there's a little action in this circle. Hands on pelvis, and right away this is a lot of traction, so you might feel some energy around the sacrum and pelvis. So with hands on the abdomen, let's begin to pull those two knees apart and release. Press those thighs into the circle and see what it feels like. Do you need to adjust, wiggle around at all? Press and release. And just see, is your pelvis lined up with your ribs? You might use your hands to see, where are my ribs, where are my pelvis? And you might feel like an adjustment could even be made. Really press your sacrum down, press your ribs down, make sure that the neck is long. And then maybe we press the circle out and start to tilt and extend the low back. Tilt and extend, curling the low back down and then allowing a little extension. This is kind of flossing the pelvis around the two femur bones while pressing the knees out into the circle. Keep the breath going. And then maybe you take it into a little bit of a circle, a clock around the pelvis. If there's any pain or kind of nervy stuff, you want to take a moment and reset. Maybe doing this without the circle around the legs. This should feel like a lot of energy around the sacrum, around the hips and glutes, around the low back and core. Okay, one more circle each direction. And then come back to center, relax, you might rock. Whew, should be a lot of good energy around the hips. Next, the heels might come in a little closer to the bottom, and then arms reach down alongside body. Let's press into the circle again and begin to bridge, rolling up. At the top, make sure the pubic bone is slightly higher than the hip bones so that you don't go into this lumbar extension. Rolling down and up, arms reaching, pressing into the feet. Feel that strong connection of hamstrings to glutes. Look up every once in a while and see, are my hips level? You might even see if your glutes are firmly activated, evenly activated, that one side's not gripping more than the other, or gripping at all. We don't really want, we want wrapping and hugging, but no real gripping. The other thing is press into the feet evenly. This is also going to help you recognize if one side feels weaker than the other. If you press evenly and you keep your pelvis level and aligned and you press evenly into the circle, the weaker zones of the body will work a little harder. You might feel a little bit more action, maybe even a cramp start to show up. On this next one, hips stay up, abs stay in, neck stays long, and pulses out with the circle. Little abductions. Again, feel those outer hips, use your hands, use your mind-body connection, keep your core hugged in tight. Let's go for 3 or 4 more presses, even weight in both feet. Now press, hold, and twist one hip up, one hip down a little bit. As long as this feels okay for the body, keep your ribs nice and heavy. Keep your low back long. And then back to center, roll it on down. Take that circle out, hug the knees, rock side to side. You might stretch the hamstrings after that. Circle the ankles. And then let's do that again with adduction. So when we're really balancing and aligning the muscles around the core and pelvis, it's really helpful to think about the pelvis and how we can work the inner legs and the outer hips that really support the pelvis from below. So we want to do a good amount of adducting or squeezing, getting some inner thigh work and outer hip work. So with the ball between the knees, hands on pelvis, feel nice and even. Again, you might take a couple breaths. And then just to kind of feel neutral. Find your neutral pelvis and just squeeze in on the ball. You might have to adjust where the ball is, make sure it feels appropriate, and really sense even pressure through both knees. Hug your abdominals up and in. Feel the core connect, the inner thighs fire. And then give a gentle squeeze and tuck and arch. And just like we did with the outer hips. Round the spine, extend, maybe making a little gentle circle. And then we'll begin our bridges again. Rolling up, squeeze into the glutes, rolling back down. Even pressure in the feet. Make sure the feet aren't turned out with the knees forward. You want that good alignment of knees pointing forward and feet pointing forward. Really make sure you scoop the abdominals. Now, if there's any pressure in that SI or pain, don't come up as high. Soften through the feet a little bit and really make it come from the abdomen. We'll do this a few times. And then hold up on your next one. Deeply scoop and squeeze the ball. Get a little bit more of those inner thigh muscles. The biggest thing when we're really trying to balance this area is that things are aligned and level. Hips are level. Even squeeze of the ball. Gentle connection down through both feet evenly. No clenching toes. Then hold a gentle squeeze, twist, twist. A little rotation through the lumbar spine can feel really good. Just keep the ribs hugged down, tummy scooped in, and then roll down and relax. Hug those knees in. You might open up those knees for a little inner thigh stretch. Nice. A little body love after all that good work. Okay, that was some good inner thigh and outer hip work with a little bit of spinal mobility. Hamstring work from our back. Now we're going to go to the side. This is where you'll want to have a ball or a little cushion underneath the head. Let's begin with the sideline posture. We'll go for the ball again here, and then we want to feel that side waist lift so that your hip bones are level. Ribs are gently hugged in, neck is long, looking straight ahead, ear, rib, and hip are aligned, and then we'll give a gentle squeeze and release. Just feeling your way through your body. It should feel like good work, but not pain. The pain is the indication of the body letting you know something's not quite in alignment or ideal. So go for those little subtle feelings that the body gives you. Feel how this is so good for building the balance around the lumbar spine, the area above the pelvis. We're also working the inner leg muscles, the deep pelvic floor muscles. Let's go for just 3 here. Now squeeze and maybe tuck and arch the low back a couple times. Deep full breaths. And then we'll take the light or extra light band around the knees. Again, we want to go with the lighter band so that we can get some good range of motion without aggravating the groin or the piriformis muscle, which is a little muscle that can oftentimes be tight for individuals and put pressure on the sciatic nerve. Heels together, knees slightly lifted, almost like you're in a sideline tabletop. Bottom waist lifted, and then hands on pelvis. Make sure that nothing rotates for the most part in the hips. We're really trying to just get that external hip rotation. Oftentimes it can really be helpful to press down into the floor for stability. If you happen to have the magic circle close by, this would be a good place to stabilize the upper body while mobilizing and strengthening the lower body. It doesn't take long, and this is an extra light band for this to really start burning, but I don't feel any gripping unnecessarily in any of those culprit muscles that cause dysfunction in the low back and pelvis. Let's go for just 3. Whew, and then relax. Okay, same exact thing, other side. Since we have the band on, let's just do it in reverse here. Ball close by, side line, lining that beautiful body up, hugging the bottom rib cage, heels together. Maybe this top hand has that support, helps to keep us from collapsing forward, and then we'll externally rotate. Pelvis stays neutral, meaning that the top hip doesn't roll backwards or hike up. Really nice and neutral. Try not to arch the ribs forward. Go into that rhythmic core breath. Stabilizing the spinal column with your exhale. Maintaining that rib position with your inhale. Getting that good burn in those outer hips, pressing down through the bottom knee as you rotate the top knee. Wiggle the jaw. This is a great place to work on the cervical neck spine because as you press down into the ball, you're working the side neck in such a supportive way too. 3 more. Those good side hip muscles strengthened. If one side felt a little harder, you might take a break, but do another round. Wiggle it out, shake, and then we'll do the ball in between the knees, getting the inner thigh work, the adduction on this side. Same idea, find your posture and squeeze. Feeling the pelvic muscles travel up, release, hug and contract. Not necessarily moving the spine, staying still with the spinal column, but feeling the muscles lift and release. Checking in. Releasing any tension anywhere unnecessarily. We'll go for a few more. After doing several here, which you should be feeling your bottom obliques pretty good as well, we might squeeze and just do a little tuck and arch like we did on the other side. Curl and release. And then relax. Next, let's lie down on our abdomen. Again, we'll have the band around the ankles, or around the ankles this time, so around the legs, but around the ankles. A little bit higher than the lower part of the ankles. And then this is gonna be we're gonna be coming onto our tummy here. So, to line yourself up, look where your legs are. Try to find your pelvis in the center of the mat. Lying down, hands can be stacked with your forehead resting on your hands. Feet are wide, and this is the benefit of having a little bit of a lighter weight band. You can do a light or an extra light. Keeping the legs down, shrug the shoulders up and down a few times. Draw the shoulders down, maintain them down, and then curl the pubic bone. Feel the glutes fire and release. The glutes fire and release. Just a little hug of the glutes. This is a pelvic curl. So I'm trying to drive the pubic bone down while pulling my tummy muscles up. Feeling this connection. Pressing down through the feet helps. Now you might be able to notice, either through your sensing with your mind-body awareness or even with the touch, does one side fire up more than the other? This might be an indication that there's an imbalance. So feel even glute tone. If one glute doesn't fire as good as the other, maybe try to drive down onto that side of the pubic bone a little bit more. So say if my left glute doesn't fire as much, I might try to drive the left front side of my pubic bone down into the floor a little bit more to get that fired. Again, make sure that there's no pain. After doing a few pelvic curls, keep your tummy muscles active, lift the legs up, and we'll go out and in. Neck is long, shoulders are relaxed. We might twist the thighs in and out. Breathing. You might swim kick, one leg up, one leg down. Again, try to drive your pubic bone down, tummy muscles up and in. And then bend the knees and just allow your feet to go side to side, almost like a little windshield wiper. And then let's sit back into a stretch. Going side to side with those hips. Nice. Okay, next we'll move into one more round of supine on the spine. So, cross close by, lying down on our back, finding that alignment. Again, let's take the ball this time, and once we're aligned, we'll float one knee at a time into tabletop. Ball goes between the two knees. Now we're in hip flexion, where we were in hip extension a moment ago. Ribs heavy, neck long. If you feel the neck wanting to do this, you might put a little towel underneath the head. Just a small little towel. You want the back of the hairline down without the chin overly tucking. Hands on hip bones, feel level hip bones. Inhale, breath, exhale, squeeze. Working the inner thighs, the deep abdominals, the front of the hips, hip flexors and quads. We'll go 3. Now holding the ball, just roll the pelvis back a little bit. Imprint the low back, release. Imprint, release. Try to feel like the neck doesn't arch. Use your strong arm, just a little bit of low ab work, a little bit of low back stretch. Hugging those inner thighs together. Okay, we're gonna stay in tabletop, but this time let's swap out the circle. Circle goes around the knees. Knees in tabletop and press, press. As we press out through those knees, just feel the outer hip muscles activate. You'll feel a lot of action around the SI, around the sacrum and hips. See that it feels good. Hips level, ribs heavy, neck long. Go for a few more abductions, legs pressing out into the resistance. And then hold, let the feet twist out and in. Heels kiss, heels go away, knees twist in, but we always press into the circle. Internal rotation, external. It's almost like we're flossing the hips in socket. It's like what we did when we were on our belly in prone with the legs lifted. 2 more. This can feel really good for any tightness or imbalances around the hip socket. Last one. Legs come down. Let's keep the circle one more time. Let some energy go. Big breath in again. pressing out into the circle, just do one more little round, tiny little pelvic curl. Tiny little stretch of the low back, pressing into those legs. Try not to grip the bottom, wrap the glutes, really stabilizing the muscles around the sacrum and hips. 2 more. Pressing into your feet evenly, relax jaw. And then from here, taking that circle around the arch of one foot, let's go for a little stretch. Knee can bend and extend. Try to keep that hip from hiking up into the armpit. You can stretch the other leg out, little hip flexor stretch on the other side. You might even take a little side body twist to stretch this outer hip. Just make sure that you're supporting yourself here. You might take the stretch to the opposite direction, getting those inner thigh muscles and hamstring muscles. So just see what feels proper for your body. Take as much time as you'd like with those stretch. Opposite leg when you're ready. Bend and straighten those knees at the stretching side. Deep full breath. We might straighten that leg to open up the hip flexor. Take a little cross body stretch. Breathe, wiggle out any tension where it does not need to accumulate. Take that time, listen to your body. If there's one area that's quite a bit tighter, that might be an indication of where we could stretch more. Take some breaths, support your body, support your core with the good proper connection. That breath supports it, the abdominals hugging in support, and then coming back through center. Last thing that might feel nice is a little figure 4. So crossing one ankle over opposite knee, pulling in the tabletop leg, pressing the figure 4 leg. And just see, try to keep your hips level. You might even floss hip up, hip down. That could feel really good. Listen to your body, keep breathing. Having that hamstring stretch if you'd like, circling the ankles is lovely. Switch out the sides, pushing the figure 4 leg, pulling the tabletop leg, shoulders melting, ribs hugging. Inhale, breathing. You can straighten and bend that free leg. Circle the ankles. Closing it out with a big deep breath in. Nice full deep breath out. Nice work.